Over wind cycles, communication interference, electronic surfing in high satellite conditions, realm connecting to all portals, communication universe interference. Today, we're going to travel to all sys locations. It's all about understanding how to understand the practical system, how to travel. Traveling is extremely important when you go through the avatar. The avatar has to send everything through its operation locations to everything information to each chakra representation. What does that chakra mean to you? How to use it through travel? That's what we're going to do today. 5 minutes, we'll get started. All right, so set in the course lines, communication interference, and program locations, line conditions. All right, I know we start at 10:30, but sometimes we have too much fun. You can never have too much fun. All right, so line center interference and position location line conditions, all levels. Understanding what you're doing is extremely important, and it's a representation of you, how to use your chakra system, because you have to learn how to use it through its consciousness of vibration, right? Because it's all done through emotional locations, right? So we're going to go through the white graph line center. Electrical surfing is extremely important. It's like being on a surfboard without a surfboard. So this is a magnetic line center in position locations. Now, Michael is connection levels at server surfer. He can help you through the ground interference, but you got to be information location him to send his location to his directions, because he is the communications to all line centers to everybody's position. All right. So in that calculations, we set up the graph line center in position location. We set line center interference in position locations, being on a connection on line to a surfboard. All right. Surfboard in high center interference is a portal line center rotation in its position location is direction location to its system. Coming to calculation line conditions. All right, so it's channeling its high center, code signal locations, code line channels, communications, resurfacing triangle locations. Has to have a ground interference line position locations, all levels. Right? Now, you understand what it is, the ground line center. What is it through emotional track? Interference is position location line conditions. So it's all about understanding, seeing a magnetic channel communication to wires. Okay, it's a scan line channel right into the bullseye, dot line center interference. In position locations, code signal interference equals box line center / communication system, swirling in high line center, inner position location of triangles, high line center line interference, in a program location of circle line centers, box position location of its direction. High signal interference location line conditions. So electronic line center in rotation code signals. In position locations, the crew units, line conditions, all of us squad units 1 and 2, everything through all of us GFL, everybody into the rebellion line conditions, the ascendants and master communication system, and everything that's ascended gods are going to go through dimensional line. Now that dimensional line is going to open all line rotation. Now it's all about communication system. So this is how the scan line center comes in. Anything you create through a portal creates everything back to you, because it understands your DNA. It understands your particles. It understands your cells. It understands you through emotion, right? Emotion with the ocean of the motion, right? So it's continuous flow. You got to find the flow, right? Right? So once you understand electrical line connections, you open up your ear line rotations, right line position locations, all levels. Ground line interference before you get to travel position is the calculations of foundations of Earth. Once you reach higher line centers in position location, this is the left line center. This is the right location. Now you're asking me, wait a minute, I thought was right and left was left. But remember, galaxy position location changes weather pattern. It's never ever in the same direction. It's moving back and forth, but it's always moving forward. Space is very confusing, and that's why you always have to use north as a reference every single time, right? So channel line center interference locations, all right? You're going to go through electronic surfing. It's really powerful stuff. And so when you go through it, it looks like you're on a surfboard. So think of it a way to high signal its position location, knowing exactly what you're doing through division. So it rotates its signals, rotates its line centers, going through the dimensional line, lowering you in position location line conditions, right? So it's like, right? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Initiate. All right, so you guys are in position locations. 30 minutes, have fun. Down through calculation. Setting the core line center in interference position of program setting is resetting generation lights. Off signal position location and calculations. All right. So we're going to go through coloration line channels. Now the communication line interference location comes into all coloration patterns. It resets line conditions all levels, right? So it's all about traveling through all these all in one position, all at once, in one clocking line center, simultaneously, right? So this is balanced communication with system. Let's go through channel lines. Make sure you drink your water. Questions or comments afterwards when I go on TikTok. All right. Janie, how's it going? Airbender, how's it going? Amy, how's it going? Michael, how's it going? Taryn, how's it going? Gypsy, how's it going? Lindsay, how's it going? Sammy, how's it going? Chris, how's it going? Val, how's it going? Christina, how's it going? Gypsy, I like it. This is GFL. Missy, it's great to see everybody on a Saturday. All right. Let's see here. Pam, everybody's refreshed. They go to school. Jared, Barbara, Ellen. All right. So as you guys are going through your position locations, you have to learn how to realm connect. Realm connect to high system locations. This is where you get into your emotional tracks. So it's going to be interesting too, because you're going to be on track, off track, on track, off track. So you have to understand how to balance your emotions of your thoughts, right? This is the position locations get you in the psychological line conditions. So it's portals, right? So when you go through a portal, that portal reads you through DNA, right? If you don't identify yourself, it's going to throw you back out, right? So it's not just an indication of intelligence, planet line system locations, or anything through surface, or anything through a multitude of interference locations, multi-position line centers of universe locations. You have to identify yourself with everything. Everything you see, everything you touch, everything you hear. This is all position location. Understand how to use everything through track locations to its position, right? See how that goes up? See that light change? See? Very simple. Direction, balance, location, right? Reading signal line, center line, and rotation interference. Point chalk, system line, and rotations. It's like chalk on a chalkboard. You're like, it's like, it's a screech, right? So understanding high line centers of portal line interference, try to balance your communication system, especially when you're high channeling of higher levels. The oxygen line center changes, the conditions to the all levels of your body changes, your eco line center changes, your formation changes, your chakra system changes through its emotional track. You really, really have to understand your 12 DNAs of travels, right? So when you're realm connecting, you understand the quadriline channel communication physics. This is all like physics 101, understand through calculation. It all position locations to its directions, guys. But it's a lot of fun when you more level your connections to its program setting. So, because I was just trying to figure out how can I travel through all this in one position? How is that possible to travel through all these different colors? They're all different timelines, but they all come back into one, right? So it's interesting how you look at that. So it's all about me drawing from one position location to one direction. All right. It's like flipping pages. It's like flipping the page, and then you see the character running, goes up a hill, goes down a hill, gets into a car, starts running off, right? So when you get in that position locations, you go in this direction. Okay. I'll show you. All right. So as we go into calculation line connections, let's go into coloration. All right, once we get into coloration line channel, you understand what I'm talking about. Let's go on this position locations. Channels of position location. Back into this equation line center. So it rotates its system locations. So you look at this, right? So that goes into that, right? Two different line centers. You got brown interference and you got like connection of all of orange and yellow. So it's all about travel. Travel is this location line conditions. This is where you can hop, skip, and jump and anything through realm connecting. So realm connecting is like jumping through time sequence, like one portal to another portal to another portal, 3 portal line center locations. So you go from this position, here, 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 and out. Okay? So as you're traveling, it's recognizing you through time. So it's going through loop-de-loopies. It's setting up new circle line and rotation calculations. So it's recognizing you through time frame. So look at the tunnel line center interference in position, location, and direction. So as you're traveling through, the electronic surfacing is going through your wave patterns. Okay, it's a connection. So are you connected to all levels? Because it reads your signature locations to your heart. See how you go through? So this is about understanding when you can go up, or when you can go down, or you can go swirl like that position location. Redirect line center. So it's kind of like going with the ocean with the motion, right? It's like going like this. It's getting into the flow of everything, right? It's the flow. It doesn't look in correlation until you understand the balance, how everything works. It's the flow, right? So this flow of nature, flow of space, flow of time, flow of clocking, flow of you inside position. So this is about understanding the representation, how to communicate to each chakra through its flow. And it's all done through surfing electronically. So that is in calculational levels when you come into understanding what the chakra system is, because it goes in so many levels that geometry interference, provocation line connections, right? It channels on so many lines of a chakra system locations, right? I'm just showing you how you can go on so many different levels of what a chakra system is, right? It modifies its signals in position, location, of its directions. So you got a teleportation here, teleportation there. Now, this is different communication. This is different communication. This is different travel. This is different travel. This is different color. This is different tone. This is different intelligence, different intelligence, different color, different color. But they're all connected to each other, to its position location. See? So once they understand the communication, they automatically come into each other through one position locations of an 8-channel line center. So each chakra in your body has its connections to its clocking center. How fast you're traveling is mostly understanding how space and time is set up through you through flow and direction of time. See the 8-line center? See the intelligence? So everything I do is intelligence because it's all formations of you, right? So one thing that stands on by is calculations to the physical line, because the physical line is just all line conditions at all levels of its satellite position. See the satellite? Position locations, all levels to delta wave. So you have to understand, are you using my alpha, delta, theta, beta, omega? Well, you understand what it is, so all position location. What does the alpha line matter to you? What is the beta? What is the theta? What's the communications to its omega? What's omega channel interference? What's the calculations to a satellite center? What's an interference location to channel line conditional levels of the avatar stream? So it's all calculated modified, but it's all levels inside of emotion. So it's all about you understanding each chakra for what it means to you, right? Because each one is different travels of clocking. Okay. 4 different line center locations of clocking. So here's 24, right? So here's 72, here's 48, and here's 144, all right? So you start here, right? Now, what happened to 48? 48 jumped up here, right? So you're hop, skipping, and jumping, right? So this is balance. This isn't off balance. You know why it's balance? Because the chakra system is on both line centers of the male and the female location to its position. It's the balance of everything. It's the flowing recognition of your chakras, knowing exactly what you're using through emotion, through your thoughts. Those are your conductors. Source of source is everything through position, location of creation, right? You're co-creating your chakra systems into teleportations of clocking through electronic surfing. So in that position locations, you can understand that the 24 signal is the position. That's your starting line. That's the ground interference. Always have to have the grounds, okay? The power is always you in the center, and you always have your magnetic highway information system, which is your cloud. Always, always, always. Now you come into your E-fields. Very basic, very understanding the calculations. So it's all about understanding how to register your position locations of all direction to its connection. See the intelligence? So this is a true understanding. If you're going into 24, that's great. But now you're communicating to a 72. 72 is communicating to 48. So where's the 24? 24 is no longer here in that position locations. So this is interesting. This gets a little bit confusing. So the 24 signal in time position locations can go up here. 24 can go here now. I said, wait a minute, 24 is at the ground line center. But see, the 24 can go up higher. So if it goes up higher, it's a higher formation of emotion. It's a higher formation of travel. It's a higher formation of GOD, right? So it's interesting to look in the calculation line system where the 24 can actually round connect to a different line center. So it's interesting, but it gets complicated because you understand the cosmic universe line center, how it sets up its own position location as portal. So what you're creating is a plasma wall, and that plasma wall is its E field, and you actually see the portal and it's opening up, right? And then you can go through it, but you can't go through it until it scans you and you scanned the portal. Once you scan both, then you can go through because it recognizes you through particles and it recognizes where you are in your motion. Motion to its connections, right? So there's a lot of things that you can do when you go into your clocking system, but you really have to understand how to go through electronic surfing. All right, because there's so many portals that you can set up. It's important you understand what portal defense is, portal calculation, security line defense line center. So if you get a circle line rotations, I love the Fibonacci sequence location. Now that looks like position. Is it coming out or is it going in? What does it look like to you? Okay, is it going out or is it coming in? Right? This gets confusing, right? Because you're asking, just because it's a width doesn't mean it's going in. It could be coming out. So the highline center interference is position location is coming out position locations of an XT1000. Right? So this is a clocking difference in its position locations when you have to understand the round connecting of the in and the outline center of its exit. Communication system locations. So if you try to go in, you're going to crash into highline center to the XI line center interference. You can't go in. So it's about being self-aware of what you see through portal, especially when you're in space. You guys are just coming into your memory lines. You're not coming into space line. This is all levels when you come into the mind of space and you see more in calculation, right, through its division. So the portals can change your emotional track. They can read you before you read you, which is fascinating. They know exactly where you are in division. They know exactly where you are in calculation. They know exactly where you are in the mind of your thoughts. Your thoughts create the portal. So in position locations, physical line is on standby. All right. That's you in standby. Okay. You're on the electrical board. So remember, you're scanning position locations. You're coming across. Here's a portal right here, right in that position locations. Now, this is a Trinity standing is you have to scan the center. Once you scan the center, it scans you back, right? Like this. All right. So basically what happens is your particle system separates and it takes you in. So all your particle system, all those micro dots, microtubular line interference changes position location to direction. So you separate your particle. And that's what I'm saying with time zones on space discoveries, why it's so important to understand what's going on through calculations. Your particle system separates and you get sucked in the portal line center. Your body has to separate. So that's position location of direction when you come into the calculations, right? So it starts off with this, right? So it recognizes your orange line center, which is position location of sacral, yellow position location of power line interference. So you got the power and the sacral communication system. Now it understands your emotional track. So your emotional track is where in calculation to its clocking, right? So each chakra system starts off the grounds and you work your way up. So the grounds always starts at 24, okay? Never use 12 as a force connection, only use it as a reference. So this is a true understanding where the avatar stays, where it needs to be in its acceleration of its Mach location, right? So this is understanding more what you're seeing through calculation, right? So, and what you see your emotional track, because every time you see a portal, you're going to have different emotional connections of your system. Now you're coming into green. What is green? The heart. So your heart is palpitating faster. Now what's coming in now? The position locations to the sun. You're starting to get better communication system, right? See what's happening? So as it's coming in position locations, you're going to start electronic surfacing. The electronic surfacing is realm connecting. You're realm connecting position locations of dimensions to other universe line center. So this is about understanding coming out of your space lines and getting more comfortable into other universe locations. That's realm connecting. All right. But it's interesting what happens when you change your body system to particle lights. So what happens is your particle system goes into the portal location. And start surfacing, understand your connections. Okay, that's what happens, right? So once you go in the portal, your realm connect to another universe. So you're in the fifth line, fifth dimension location. That's great. But if you want to get in the sixth line, the portal line has to understand you through activation. Correction of time is everything through surfacing. So you have to truly understanding what you're doing with your particle system. It changes location to its realms. But it's very powerful how you separate into a portal and reappear on the other side. Okay? To another dimensional line. Like this in position locations. You don't want to get lost in confusion and blend in and go from an inline center coming out position locations and crashing into another XT1000. So that's understanding how space works up through travel. Real space, real time. Right? So once you separate, you reseparate locations. So you basically dissolve and resolve communication system. So your particle system comes back in a line center. Okay. It's interesting too, but you have to understand what happens is you automatically come into a shadow line. Okay. So you automatically come into the white and dark first before you basically come back into who you are. Gamma signals, interference, location line conditions. So this comes you into out of the portal. This is the portal that you're coming out of in position location. So you're revamping your communication system. So you're coming out, right? So when you're coming out, you're coming back into your color line center locations, back into your grounds, back into your powers, back into your magnetic highway information system. All right. So once you get back on that crystal grid, right? There's the crystal grid. What happens is the portal basically shuts, but you got to change the code signal. You can't leave the portal open. You got to close it, right? Because things can come out of position locations, right? So it's mostly important to understand that. So once you get your factorials communications, your regeneration lights, your particle system, again, comes in position locations, starts off with the orange, starts off with the yellow, starts off with all line conditions through emotional track. In position locations, you come into full rainbow activation line stream, back into who you are out of its portal realm location, right? So once you step on that grid, right, you're back in your cycle to its connection. So it recognizes you, your coloration comes in, right? And the ground line center gets bigger and bigger in rotation line system, allocates high line stream interference location and program setting, resets line connections, all levels, to its power connector, which is its atom line center. It rotates its system locations, right? It channels its high line rotation interference. So as you step in, you automatically go into high line center interference. So once you go into that position, you go into electronic surfacing to your electronic board. There's your board. Realm connecting to another universe. So I'm showing you how powerful it is when you have to separate your body, come from one portal through a DNA line center, come to position locations, all levels. You start off with the light and the dark line center because it's representing you through clock locations, right? Because you're nothing but a shadow line to a particle line, to a cell line, to communication all levels of a rainbow line. Once you come into rainbow line center and full communication system, you now can do electronic surfacing to other realm connections. All right. So it's pretty powerful stuff. All right. Bluetooth. How's everybody doing so far? Rainbow perimeter, line of defense in place, invisible longboard. Cosmic waves are breaking into perfect time. Great. Excellent. Pre-flight done. Ready to travel. Good. Yeah, I know it's a lot to take in there, Johnny. Especially Johnny. See, the thing is too is that it's a little bit different because I'm showing you guys why it's so powerful. What realm connecting is. You're going into no longer in your universe. You're going into somebody else's universe, right? Which basically you come into another universe. So you're stepping across something else. So you're basically going into somebody else's barrier, somebody else's perimeter, somebody else's secure defense, somebody else's portal, right? So remember, space is an expansion of you. And the more you remember, the more you come out of calculation. It's the expansion of its bandwidth that you have to truly understand. When you get into those position locations, then you can get electronic servicing to its borderline system. Right? So it's a magnetic high-line charge or your high-line center. You have a gravity belt communication cycle. It resets line conditions when you go through these portals. And this is where you come into your jump scars. You can jump scar to any position, location, or direction. So it points channels its line center to its clocking. So you can go from 24 to 144 in a nano of a second, right? You don't need to go from 24, 48, 72. You can go from 24, round connect, right to 144, right? Or you can start off at 144 and go right to 1044. Right? So it's all about what you want to do. And it's all about breaking things down and how to go through these portals. Right? So channel intercepting to its position locations of high direction, guys. All right. Regenerizing. Great. Great. Grounded communications. My system's upgrading now. I'm traveling through connecting the tunneling system. Yep, that's exactly what it is, Ambi. Yeah, I know. The magnetics, the electronic settings, and it's a lot different when you're leaving your universe and coming into another universe location. But I'm just showing the importance to know what happens when you go through portals. All right. You guys have to understand these things. It's not just surfacing in the fifth dimension. There's 12 dimensions that you have to understand through calculation. And it's all lines of you through its clocking system. All right. So it's like getting in a car, going from 0 to 60 in a Porsche, right? It takes time to go on that watch, that clock, right? It's like you guys start there. But what you have to understand is you use 12 as a reference. It's better to go through 24 line center and position location in the direction. So you don't need to go like that. You just, there's no thought process. You're already there, which is so fast. So you just basically went from all 24 right to 144. Now of a second, right there. Boom. Round connect. How many universes did I go through Track Center? So if you have a 12 DNA track interference line conditions, that's 12,000 lines of realms that you portal through a universe location. That's 12,000 position locations of universes of dimensional setting you portal through. Okay? So that's a true understanding of how you go and make calculations. But it all starts with all lines of portal. How to go through it through its waves, how to understand the essential line conditions, all through signals and rotation interference. But it's all clocking locations to the 8-line center location of your chakras, to its representation, right? You have to communicate to every single chakra through your 8-line center. So everything of your chakra is a formation of you. It's a teleportation wire. It's a communication signal. It's a telegraphing signal in position locations. Hello, how's it going there, chakra line interference? So I already know what chakra communication I'm communicating with. I don't say caller to you because I know what it is. It's all balance of signal. It's all calculated inside. It's already in its position location. It's merging into its teleportation light condition of its stream already. I know exactly that it's in its alpha. I know exactly if it's in its theta. I know exactly if it's in its beta or its omega. So your geometry line center is all levels of you. It's how you create it through the mind of thought. Okay? That's where you come into full communication of your imaginations into the known to the unknown, to its connections, to its phenomenon. All right? Once you get into higher line centers, you don't have to travel through 24. You can go right away to 144 or even 344 in position locations into 2 million. Right? So how many portals have you traveled to that position locations? Right? So it's all calculated and modified. It's not levels of math. It's all levels of maps. So it's all about getting to that position. What's the intent? What do you want to do? Well, I want to portal around through calculations line center. I want to do some electrical line interference location of surfacing, or anything through surface, or anything through surfing. So that's to try to understand how you use all levels of water and how it flows. Get into the flow of water and what it does, right? Try to understand all line connections of your chakra system, what it does it mean to you through its teleportation communication, right? Because it's an eight centralized center. Each chakra system has to have a figure eight. That's the infinity of its high line and rotation of its communication system. So it's all calculated and modified through your chakra systems, all levels of your GODs, guys. Geometric operation direction. Right? Travel through the G, travel through the O, travel through the D. Done. Right? So the G is over here. Look at that. Whoa! Look at all that travel. So once you get to a certain point, it goes higher here. Right? So it's traveling faster. So you start at 24, high line rotation interference. All right. So basically, you can go into order if you want. You go to 48 and you go to 72. There it is. Travels, there's location and direction. There's the intelligence. Intelligence comes into this location. Then you can see it's a high line center. There's the intelligence. See it? See the face, the nose. Everything's intelligence. So that's all levels of DOD. Right? So you have to understand the importance. And it's all representation of you. All right? All through motion. All right. It's interesting too, because when you go into different universes, you're coming in different atmosphere, different coloration, different travel, different acceleration, different space, different time, different pressure, different formation, different calculation, different division, right? So it's amazing when you guys realm connect to other universes. Pretty incredible, isn't it? So in position locations, I have to take you back. Right? This is centralized centers where basically you kind of like hop the fence, see what it's like, and come back in. So it's to understand why you have to realm connect to higher levels so you can understand how to use your clockings more in balance, where you don't need to go through all levels of correlation. You don't have to go from 24, 48, 72 because you already know that. You can go from 24 right to 144 right away. Right? So that's 3 line position locations that you just traveled through. Right? Because the portal line center has to understand you through recognition. And it's all through the avatar. You can't travel through the physical line. Okay? Until the avatar understands the physical and the physical understand the avatar. 2 into 1. Okay? So that's the importance you have to understand. So. Yeah, it's very cool, isn't it? Everybody, I thought you liked that too. I just want to show you how powerful it is to actually understand the portal defense line position locations. Now, it's all about swirly line center, swirly interference, and swirly location to its position. All right. So you come in here. This is you traveling. Right. That's you. You're going through. Right. So this understanding is that you have to scan these things. You have to scan, and you scan right where you want to go to location. Not here, not here, not here, because that's where you're stopping. So location's here. Right. So you already know the intent, right? There's the intent. You already know the will. There's the will. You already know the creation. There's the creation. Now that is the location. So understanding you already traveled through because you already know. If you don't know, you can't travel through it. And they're going to spit you back out. So what's going to happen is you're going to be offline center in position location, no direction. Loss in transition. Oops. Because you didn't identify your system. So it's incredible when you travel these line center locations, and each clocking center line its position locations, but you always have to start with 24. So 24 can go from 1 billion. You can go from 24 to 1 billion in a nanosecond, in a split second location. Because you understand the will, the connection to the intent line center location to its connections, to the communication system of the completing cycle of creation to the location, right? So once you understand that, then you can be back on track center. You can even change the coloration. It doesn't matter. So if you change coloration, the portal changes its coloration of you. So then it understands what color you are. And then you can go through position. See? Right through position. Hoo-ah! All because you paid attention to its awareness. You're being aware of what you're coming up against. The portal has to recognize you through DNA. It recognizes you through your particle system. And this is what happens when you realm connect to portal locations. From this to this to this. Okay? So it's very powerful when you guys are traveling. All right? So 5 more minutes, I could take you guys out. You guys are having too much fun. All right, so we got a box line center in position. You can travel through anything. There's 3 box line rotations, but there's not 3, is there? You see there's 3, but I see more. There's 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, right? So seeing through the naked eye, not just seeing 3 boxes, but also seeing 3 more in position. That's what this is, all right? So it's not just seeing what you want to see, it's going beyond what you can see, right? So this is a box, this is a box, this is a box, this is a box, and this is a box. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So that's 5 central line connections, right? 5 central line connections, okay? Equal line interference. So in position locations of 24. Now the 24, this position location, even though there's 5 line centers of box interference locations, this is all level position locations of 1044. Right there, right? So I went from 24 to 1044. Okay. Not 244, not 344, right up to 1044. So how many realms did I go through in position, location, of direction? Try not to think of it as a calculation of a sequence locations of math. Always use it as a map because your intent is already done through its will. The will is already done through its force, which is already done through its creation of its location, right? So you're not multituding and you're not putting these things all together. You're just trying to understand the mapping sequence of you through portal. That's how you travel through these things because it's levels of intelligence and a higher formation of its containment system locations. You're understanding the awareness of its perception to its operation, to its computer adaptation, which is all levels of its avatar system. Okay? So channeling its high line center, you just went through all line center locations of 5 million position locations of division. 5 million. 5 million portals or realms in 5 sequence locations, all through 24 signal of a clocking system. So, hooah. That's why it's so powerful. Because you're going beyond the representation of you, right? Knowing you can just also travel through other universe lines, all through electronic surfing. All right. Okay, so take track interference on position locations, code signals, copy that, highline centers, Echo Zero 1, Tango Tango, Foxtrot, Echo Zero 1, line center, line rotations. DOSO communications center, reset line connections back in universe location, online center where they started in ground interference locations, cruise units, squad unit 1s and 2s, GFL, rebellion line center, location ascending mass communication, ascending gods. Bring it back to the calculation. Now you're back. All right. So that was fun. See, when you come back, you really understand what you're doing because I already know what the intent is. I already know what I'm doing through its will. I already know what I'm doing through its creation. And I already know where I'm going through location. Okay? That's a true understanding. This is communication, number one of everything. You have to communicate with everything. Everything is intelligence of travel. It's just getting balance of you through its representation of its avatar to its clocking system of your chakra systems. Okay? So, yeah, I know it's hard for you guys to leave, but I got to bring you back. So, but that's the first thing you got to look at. I really want to get into that. So, no school tomorrow, obviously. Monday, we're going to start fresh in high position locations. We're going to get into pyramids of activation line streams of hieroglyphic locations of channels. All right. It's going to be a lot of fun. All right. Any questions or comments? I will be heading back over to TikTok. You guys have a wonderful day. Adios.